Okay, shalom, everybody. Shalom, Apostle Peter.
Shalom, shalom, shalom.
Waking
Thanks
up.
for having me. I am awake. I'm there. I'm there.
Waking up with Yahusha in your cup.
That's right. That's right. Oh, that's right. That's a good one. Hey, you dated yourself there, the old Folgers commercial.
Fol- I'm still stuck on Folgers.
I, I don't drink coffee anymore.
I,
I
I,
stopped
that,
drinking coffee in 2018, I think it
that,
was.
well, normally that would bother me, but I, the fact that you're not a Mormon and you stopped drinking coffee. If you stopped drinking coffee because you were a Mormon, that would worry me. That would definitely worry
No,
me. But you're not. But you're
I
not.
just
You're
decided one day. Somebody sent me something, and I went, "Oh my gosh, that's not good for your head." And that was it. The Ruach confirmed it to me. I started drinking tea, and I just never looked back. I don't need coffee in the morning, as you can tell. I kind of get going. So,
But let me tell you how I feel about that.
yeah, you guys with your coffee, I love it. Hey, we got plenty of coffee here. We love it. No problem.
Fear
All
the
right.
beard. So in other
I'm
words,
more the tea guy
this is
now.
what I want
Mom
from
will be
everybody.
here shortly with my cup of tea. Of course, she is my cup of tea. But
Fear
anyway.
the fear the beard. This is what I'm trying to get out of this. Fear me, a man of Yahuwah, and don't mess with my beard.
Don't mess with the beard, man.
Fear the beard.
Respect the beard. That's good. That's good.
Anyway, so we're
Yeah.
going today's exciting. You want to just open or you want me to
No, you usually let me do that. You go ahead. You're excited about this today. Go ahead.
so I absolutely. Well, last thing I do going to bed on Yom Echad is saying Peter Martinez, 11 a.m. So you're always on my mind, but
Right.
we won't tell anybody. Which means that we're joined at the everlasting covenant. We're joined at the hip,
Yes.
which makes us hipsters.
That's right.
So we used to be gangsters, now we're hipsters.
Hey, I still got a gang, man. My gang's awesome. I love my gang, and your gang's awesome. We got two good gangs, let me tell you.
Right?
I hang out with my gang any day.
Baruch Hashem Yahuwah. So basically, here's what I wanted to do, and a lot of believers are coming into a full Torah walk and understanding. And one of the last areas of obedience is the new month, the Chodesh, not the new moon, the Chodesh, the new month, a set of 30 days. They go to work, they conduct normal business, or sometime a new believer will go to the other extreme and they'll treat it as a Shabbat. And it's not, to be honest. I mean, we can't add to the word of Yahuwah. It's not a Shabbat. But it is a required time of assembly, the Torah of place, right? And so a lot of folks either don't know,
Mm-hmm.
they don't care. So I've looked at Chodesh as the celebration of the new month, kind of like a litmus test of how much we're willing to give up and carry the tree of
That's a
sacrifice.
good way to put it.
And it's like you don't have to, but you get to, right? You don't have to, but you get to. So I'm not going to
Very
lie.
good.
I'm not going to lie to people to say, listen, in order to get another offering or another this or another that, I want you to celebrate the new month. No, Yahuwah says he wants you, but he doesn't make it a Shabbat to kind of test how far, you're willing to go to live for him.
Mm.
And let me just share this with you and then get your feedback. The new months we know are not new moons. We know new moons are forbidden. They're just not. We're not allowed to use them to contemplate time.
Right.
So the new months in Judaism, which is 90% of the Messianic Torah keeping body,
Right.
is basically a branch or a form of Judaism, right?
Right.
So here's what the rabbis have done, and this is to their shame. I mean, there's not much that's not to their shame. They got to go to work. They have to go to the jewelry district. They have to go to the garment center. They have to conduct business as usual because they don't trust Hashem to gather on the new month. So they gather on their new moon, falsity number one, and then they move the new month to the closest Shabbat. Watch this. So in other words, if the new moon is on Thursday, they celebrate it on Shabbat, Saturday. If the new moon is on Monday, they wait 6 days. In other words, they don't want to lose money. They don't want to lose another day of income. So they have the audacity, the unmitigated gall and audacity, not only to not show up according to the Zadokite priesthood, which is eternal, but they move the fake moon
Yeah, they don't even respect their own day. No, that was one of my big irritations in Jerusalem.
on days,
Huge.
and then I would, as a little boy in a synagogue, I went to a Orthodox synagogue in Jackson Heights, and then later when I was bar mitzvah, I went to a conservative synagogue in Briarwood, Jamaica, Queens. And I would ask them, I would say, the Chodesh, the new month, the Rosh, they called it Rosh, but there's only one Rosh, which is Aviv.
Right.
Why do we celebrate it on Shabbat? Does Chodesh always fall
Full on Shabbat.
Shabbat? And they're like, because Boychik. First of all, you're asking too many questions.
Too many questions.
Second of all, you're not a rabbi. Third of all, you're not even barely bar mitzvah.
You're still
And you're not married. You're not even married.
What do you know?
And in addition, what do you know, right? And in addition, Hashem tells us in the Talmud. In other words, you don't have to work for a living. Be quiet. We have to work for a living. So we're not doing anything bad. We're just moving it to the closest Shabbat. So, and they do the same thing with the annual Moadim. For instance, Yom Kippur can never fall on a Shabbat on their lunar calendar. It can never fall on a Sunday. They have to move it to a Monday. There has to be a 1 day difference because, Yah forbid, they can't cook for 2 days in a row. So they call it dalitot. So in Hebrew, dalitot means postponements. So if they don't want to not have hot food 2 days in a row or 2 Shabbats in a row, they simply move it to Monday or they move it to Tuesday. It's crazy. So, but we, the remnant, we are required, and we could talk about that a little bit, to restore the new month celebration, just like we have restored the Shabbat in our lives, right? So we have a requirement, because if you read Isaiah 66, Yahuwah doesn't separate that obligation. He puts them together. One is a Shabbat, one is not a Shabbat, but in terms of obligatory, they're put together. Your thoughts?
Normally, we only missed one this last year. This last one, we did not do the blowing, but we normally do the blowing before the altar. And Chodesh has been a challenge for me, as you pointed out, because the question was, and it was a really good question, is it treated as a full Shabbat? So that was one of the first questions we had to deal with here at New Kingdom. And then we had to deal with, well, okay, it's not quite a full Shabbat, like you said. However, to treat it as if it didn't exist was also disrespectful. So it's risen here to the level that it's nearly a Shabbat. In other words, we are not engaging in any business activity. If there's things that we have to still get or what have you, that kind of typical behavior wraps up. But the way that we've been handling it has been, and it's been a learning process because nobody modeled it for us. We had no models. We had nobody saying, here, do it this way, here, do it this way. So we had no idea, which made us very nervous about telling anyone else what to do. Are you listening, guys? Because some people would be like, wanting us to instruct them on we're reconstructing based on destroyed records and fragments, going, oh boy, I think we're doing this wrong, but we're still learning. So by the grace of the King, we're putting it together. But no question about it, it was a big challenge. So we came to the place of high reverence for the day. We blow the trumpets on that day, and we set the day apart to not conduct unnecessary business or unnecessary any conduct, anything at all. We don't initiate any business on that day. So we do a lot of things to try to set that day apart. But it's been, I think, for a lot of believers, a challenge to know, what do you do with Chodesh? How do you properly treat that? You, on the one hand, don't want to be disrespectful because that's what we're coming out of, right? So we've got that. But on the other hand, you've pointed it out. You want to join in. You can over add things, and I'm very sensitive to religious activity. I'm very, very sensitive to liturgical, religious, read this book during this day kind of thing. Because what that does to my mind is it compartmentalizes your walk into a performance theater versus a actual genuine experience with Yahuwah. And
Right.
so to me, that makes a big difference. So I don't promote that. And that's what people come to my channel and all the time, but I feel like I have to apologize that I'm not giving them the 15. Here's the 15 steps you have to do on Shabbat. Here's 12 things you do on Hodesh. I struggle with that because we don't want to give you, first of all, we don't want to mislead you in any way, right? So
We don't want to be your aloha yam. You need to learn to hear from the ruach
right, we're not the rough. We
within the
have to,
guidelines. Within the
right.
guidelines that Yahuwah gives you, you need to learn how to hear from the ruach. And that's exactly what Colossians 2 says. It says, "Let no man judge the way the ruach is leading you to do it." It doesn't say do not do it. It says when you do it. The presupposition of Colossians 2 is when you do these things, let no man judge you. Watch this, except the assembly, meaning where you're planted. They
Mm.
guide you. They guide you. See?
But you see the difference there, right there. No judging. Go in, enjoy. I remember when I came to Arizona, one of the first places I went was a family that was doing Shabbat. I had not seen a family do Shabbat this way before. So this was new for me. They literally had like a bunkhouse, beautiful house in Phoenix, just outside in the suburbs of Phoenix, Goodyear. Beautiful place. The man used to own a restaurant, so he was a phenomenal cook. He and his wife would cook every week. I told him, I said, man, you could be famous just for this. If you did nothing else but just keep doing Shabbats like this, you just had all these people from everywhere. They came, they plopped wherever they plopped. They had a great time. It was beautiful. Okay. How would you tell anybody that that's the normal Shabbat? You can't. That was inspired. He felt inspired to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And he was inviting people from all over the country. I mean, people would drop in and you'd meet people, you never know who you'd meet at his place. So, he's doing it that way. Another couple might do very quiet, maybe invite over 2 or 3 people. That's it.
Yeah.
Other folks want to have a big jamboree. Okay. And you know something? Like if you go do Shabbat with a bunch of the Iberian, Portugal, the Spanish, boy, you better be prepared for what that kind of Shabbat's going to be like, because they love him, but they do it a different style. They have their own styles, the way that they make the food and the way that they hang out. They're doing it their way. No problem. They're compliant.
But right, beginning correct. So go into Colossians 2. He says these are shadows of things to come. So first of all, religion says, why are you doing it, Peter Martinez? You're back under the law. You're Judaizing. You're going back under the law. Well, what does Colossians 2 actually say when you look at it? It says that the Chodesh, the Shabbats, and the annual Moadim are shadows of what? Things to come. In other words, they're kingdom preparation tools.
Yes.
They're kingdom preparation tools. But here's the bottom line. 7 out of 10 people that we get as part of the remnant are not doing Chodesh. So that's where I, as an apostle, come in. And like you said, we don't want to tell them exactly how to tie their shoes. We don't want to tell them exactly how to sweep their floors. But we do need to provide a guideline. Can I share a scripture with you, please, if you don't mind? If you don't mind. So scripture is king. Context is king. Audience relevancy is king. These are all basics of hermeneutics. Now we go to Amos chapter 8. Should be on your screen. I believe it is. Yep. And it's not a Shabbat, but Yahuwah gives us a warning.
Right.
He gives us a warning. If you have the attitude saying, hurry up, honey, hurry up. What time will Chodesh be over?
Yeah.
Hurry up, because we need to sell. We need to go back to commerce. We need to do business. And when it comes to the Shabbat, hey, what time? Oh, hurry up. Can we go to the concert tonight? Can we, even though we have to pay a toll to get there? I mean, she's in town. She's in town tonight, and the only night she's in town is Saturday at 6. So can we hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up? So there was this attitude among the 10 tribes that they were performing it in a superficial way, looking at the clock, so that they may go back to business and do their deceitful business practices. And look at verse 7. Yahuwah says, basically, he's saying in verse 7, you forgot how to approach the Chodesh and the Shabbat, which are both Kadosh, but I have not forgotten your behavior. That's basically what he's saying. So what I'm saying to all the newbies, and I would say 50% of our people are newbies in the last 3-4 years, you got to do Chodesh. Now, how you do it, we'll work with you. I mean, we'll work with you. But Chodesh is a requirement.
Right. As a matter of fact, he specifically says, let no man judge you in the doing of it. So we twisted that. One of the things churchianity does is invert things. It's quite surprising when you finally get it. But the inversion of that was, of course, totally ignoring the kadosh things. This is a very dangerous behavior, and it's something that I pointed out in our last Shabbat meeting, that people are now awakening to the reality that they might have thrown the baby out with the bathwater, right? Even those that say, oh, he completed the Torah of redemption or the Torah requirements for the sin atonement. Okay. And let's go with that completely according to your understanding, Mr. Christian, right? Let's say that he did that. Well, did that negate everything else? In other words, can you now go sleep with your sister? Right? Are you okay with you understand where I'm going? I don't want to get too crude, but you get what I'm saying. Nope, he didn't suspend all those Torah rules. Oh, okay. So which ones are suspended according to you? The ones that are inconvenient for you, I assume. The ones that press upon you and force you to sacrifice yourself. Is that one of the ones you threw away? And anything that asks of you, is that one got onto the list? But anything that was easy and convenient and gave you the berakah, that one, boy, they gave you that. So I'm seeing how this got sorted out, and it's very disturbing to watch the attitude, the spirit that's looking for inclusion without involvement.
But see, they all
inclusion without involvement. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, but see, they all have the same issue. Listen, let me approach it from a little different point of view. So, as you know, I've been studying eschatology, and I'm balanced. Wait a second, I'm balanced in everything. So when I go deep into something, I take 2 steps backward and reassess. I go deeper, then I take 2 steps backwards and I reassess. You follow me? And I always try to balance myself out. So here's what I found. And we were talking about this in the back room. And we'll get back to Chodesh in a second. And that's a perfect example. So for me, it's a fact. This generation will see me. This generation will come on the clouds. You will see me. I will supervise the destruction of Jerusalem and the beast system, or that manifestation of the beast system. And I'm coming in judgment, and you will see me. Who's going to see me? The ones to whom judgment is coming. That happened in the 1st century, 70 AD. Fact. Don't argue with me. Don't talk to me. Because if you don't come with scripture, don't bother correcting me. Okay? However, here's however. I'm going to give however. The problem with the whole Torah and everything, every dot, every tittle, was fulfilled in 70 AD is the same problem that the dispensationalists have. It's the same problem that the amillennialists have. It's the same problem that the rapturists have. Pre-trib, mid, post, and pre-wrath rapturists have. In common, and the messianics who buy into their lotions and potions, they all have the same issue. Listen to what I'm going to say. They all have the same issue, which is what? The Torah has been done away with. Right. Now, the 70 AD crowd, now I am part of the 70. I say it because my faith is based on Matthew 24, 25, 23, 22. Okay? So I have no problem with Yahusha coming back in the 1st century, and neither should you. But here's my problem with it. My problem is that they say that when the temple was destroyed, heaven and earth passed away, the new covenant came, and the Torah will be in functionary process until heaven and earth has been done away with. If the temple was destroyed in 70 AD, so was the law of Moses. Okay, that tells me that that's a lie. In addition, the charismata, the gifts of the Spirit. If he came back in 70 AD, yes, and 1 Corinthians 13 says the gifts of the Spirit will continue until we see him face to face. Well, wait a second. If he came back in 70 AD, now we see him face to face, boom, there goes all the gifts of the Spirit. And there goes the fivefold ministry, because once he returns, you won't need prophecy, you won't need healing, you won't need words of wisdom, and you won't need the fivefold. So you see, in the process of studying this, there's truth and there's error. But one thing they all have in common, it's another trick, right? The 70 AD return is a fact. But if you're not careful, you'll go back to Sunday worship and you'll say there are no more apostles and you'll say there are no more prophets.
You'll fall for many tricks. So, it's where do you want to pick this up? Where do you guys want to start this conversation? Because you start this conversation, I do the math. I do hard math. I do digging. And so when I stand on something, there's a reason for it. And, the fact of the matter is you cannot deny certain historical events and historical facts. And you cannot deny that Mashiach told you exactly what he was going to do, and he did it. So now the question is, where do we stand today? What is left to do? And the battles that we have yet in front of us are the final culmination. And so we see many, many people are now waking up to that reality, going, hey, this whole, sort of psychosis that started a few hundred years ago, really, trying to push everything back to the front was intentional. It was almost as if it was meant to make everyone very confused about where they were with great effect, and consequently create all this infighting, all this debating, all this arguing. When these things weren't up for debate, that's the reason why they had to go through their, I don't even know how long they did the correctories and changing history and rewriting facts and changing everything historically that they could possibly do, because of the fact that this is monumental. I mean, my lunch break guy, I love his channel, and he did a thing on population and how the population literally disappears right around 1100. He's going backward. He's going, wait a minute. This works. These population numbers work both ways. I can go this way and count down, or I can go this way and count up. And we got a problem right around here. And I'm like, yeah, you do. You do. You got a numerical problem. You got a mathematical problem. You got an anthropological problem. So it's good that everybody's waking up and asking these questions. And when you do, you know what you're going to come back to? Hey, how do we do Chodesh? How do we do Chodesh? Like, why? Because we're starting to realize that our eschatology should not have ever informed on our day-to-day, our week-to-week, our month-to-month, or year-to-year. Our eschatology should never have been a determining factor in the way we conduct our day, our week, our month, and our year.
Right.
And the fact that you are making eschatology makes you look a little sketch, because then you're like, oh, I'm trying to figure out when the last minute is so I can jump in real quick.
And ignoring Torah. But if you hit on a big point. If your only focus is eschatology, you cannot let it affect your day-to-day Torah honoring. In other words, you're going to have to honor Torah as long as you're on this earth, regardless of when the end times come. And here's the problem that I found. See, because I'm a student, I'm not saying I can't be fooled, but you're going to have to get up pretty early to fool me. And if I am fooled, it's going to be for about 5 days. Seriously. And by the time next Shabbat rolls around, I'm going to catch myself. So here's what I found. Most of these people that say he came in the first century, which I'm in agreement with, he's coming again, by the way, to the great white throne judgment, when he judges every person and all the books are open. He's coming in judgment. Okay, doesn't mean he has to live in Tel Aviv, just like he didn't live in Tel Aviv the first time. But the point is, if you let eschatology affect your requirement, your kingdom requirement that you covenanted with Yahuwah,
Come
according to
on.
Jeremiah 31 through 35,
Right.
okay, you are breaking covenant in order to become an eschatological buff, and it's affecting your view of Torah. You go right back to a church view of Torah, and they all have that in common: amillennial, post-millennial, premillennial, pre-tribulation rapture, mid-tribulation rapture, post-tribulation. What do they all have in common?
They're
That
trying to crack the book instead of walk it. They're
that
trying
Torah's
to
been
get.
done away with.
Yeah, but here's the common theme that I keep seeing, and this. Tell me what your thoughts on this, Shirley. I'm so glad you brought this up, because what I keep feeling like is you don't really want to be part of the family. You're just trying to time the party so you know when to show up for the party part. That's what I keep. Am I?
100%. 100%.
Okay.
You're party focused. You're a party animal. You're a spiritual kingdom party animal because you don't want to live right from day to day. Morning by morning, new mercy I see. Yeah. What's the other part of that? Morning by morning, you're required to correct yourself and keep short accounts with Yahuwah. Not sit around and wait for the party. When's the party? Oh, let's fight about when the party. So if we talk about eschatology, and if you look at my website, I'm proud, very proud, chin up to say that out of 4,300 videos, I've got about 12 on the end times. So I'm doing the series now. But all of you who think that I'm fixated on this, go back on my YouTube channel. I got 4,300 videos that have nothing to do with eschatology. Okay, so put down your religious judgmental pipe right now.
You're so cute.
And like Archie Bunker used to say, where did she get that terrible habit? Remember Archie and
You are so dating yourself.
Archie. Remember Sally?
Archie.
Sally. He told Sally Struthers, "Where'd you get that?" And he said, "From you, Dad."
From you, Dad. Well,
So
inclusion without involvement, and so this is one of the things that we see as a theme. So the people want to be included without being involved. I want to be included. Get me in there. I want to save the seat for me. Okay, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
See, no one can walk your walk for you. No one can get married for you. Nobody can love your wife or love your husband for you. Right? There's certain things you've got to do. They're youisms, and unfortunately, youism are not doing-ums. You're standing around thinking you're included because there's a star-spangled awesome because somebody told you about the kingdom that was close enough for you. And I really think that as that conviction starts to settle, more and more people are going, eek, you're right. And especially as they get older, because they're seeing the fake. So they're getting older going, this is all theatrical nonsense with the swinging the jacket and all this other nonsense.
Section 104. Gone.
The fake altar thing is slowly getting out there. More people are asking about the altar now than ever before, brother. Very, very good that we're seeing that. So what's going on? I mean, people are starting to figure it out, but then they don't know what to do from there. And there's always this danger of the presumption to one's own best interest. I'm going to say it again. Be careful with the presumption to one's own best interest. Okay, it's a very easy way to self-delude.
Yes.
So if you hold yourself very high standards and you require yourself, you're tough on yourself, you are in better shape than if you give yourself all this grace. Because what I see in the scriptures, the danger is the ones that gave themselves a bunch of grace. And when he's standing there bringing the judgment, and this is Matthew 25, he's asking all of you, what did you do with what I gave you? And he's staring at you, not your friend, not your pastor, not your sholiach, not your home group leader, nothing. He's looking at you. What did you do with what I gave you? Okay, and those that A, were not living sacrifices, and B, listen carefully to what I'm going to say, did not partner with or become a partaker with, as the scripture talks about in the first century, with the living sacrifices who were sacrificing their lives to bring the word, to bring the God, the very scriptures we're reading today. Okay, the reason why we're reading is people left, they gave their lives to preserve them. All right, and if you partnered with them, then you were considered as if you had done it. But if you did neither, yourself doing that or partnering with them, what right did you have to come to the party?
That's right.
This, go ahead and think that through, because you believed in the party. You believed in the party, but you didn't prepare for the party. You didn't work for the party. You didn't give for the party, but you believed
Right.
in the party. So all you had to
Right.
do was believe in the party. So, oh, what a bunch of schmutzes. They went around and actually did hard work. What a bunch of knuckleheads. They should have done it your way. Just sit around and wait for everybody else to do it. You
Right.
see that thinking process?
Awful.
It's
And it,
absolutely horrid.
it's common, but not only is it common in Christianity, but I just learned after all these years that listen, I cannot, you can't unsee what you've seen.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Yahuwah says, "Don't see your mother and your father and your grandmother naked," because you cannot unsee what you've seen.
Or listen too closely to your servant speaking.
There's a picture there that'll never leave your mind, and those of you who have seen that, even by accident, it's that picture is still there. That's why Yahuwah said, so you can't see what you've unseen. I cannot and will not denounce. I will not recant. Here I stand. So help me, Yahuwah. Like Luther said at the gates of Wittenberg. No, he returned, and not only he returned in 70 AD, I'm going to rejoice and be glad, because that tells me half of Revelation 20 and Revelation 21 and 22 that has not been fulfilled, and Zechariah 14 at the end that has not been fulfilled is a guarantee. Okay?
Right.
So
The lock.
but
Because he
don't
already
but
kept
those
it.
of you who really believe that he came on the clouds in the first century, where's your rejoicing? I see a lot of argumentation. I see a lot of pondering. I see a lot of chin itching. I don't see anybody like talk about party. That's a party in the fact that he came and he performed, and I can have full confidence. You know, the scriptures have been
Yes.
tampered with. We know the scriptures have been tampered with. We got that. We're not new believers anymore. But there's the other side of the coin, and I was sharing with a brother today. We have to give Yahuwah the sovereignty and the ability to preserve his word. Yes,
Yes.
the Catholics mess with the text. Yes, the Protestants mess with the text.
Yes.
Yes,
But we
the
taught them.
Pharisees monkeyed with the texts, and they're being restored. But in the end, Yahuwah will always find a way to preserve his word, or he's not Yahuwah. We have his word. Don't go to the extreme and think that what we have today can't be trusted. Some of you have fallen into that trap, and you need to recover quick before you lose your salvation. I'm going to say this again. Yahuwah has preserved his word. We're just fixing the hubcap. We're fixing the spikes, but the wheel is preserved. The wheel
We
has
have
been
to recall
preserved.
how the word was delivered to begin with. Kadosh men were moved by the Ruach HaKodesh. And so is the Ruach still able to move Kadosh men? Absolutely. So if the writing of it was done by the movement of the Ruach, certainly the correction and certainly the recovery of such is done also by the Ruach, same Ruach that wrote you those words, that wrote those things and had them recorded, is the same Ruach that comes and says, that's not what I said, this is what I said, and then fixes it for you and helps you. This is why it's so important that we remain together, because as we do, we learn together and
Yeah.
share notes. You know, one thing I love, can I just say this very quickly? I love that I can tune in on Shabbat to various broadcasts, but I love that I can sit there, receive something that I know has been vetted properly, has a lot of thought into it, it's been ministry, it's been tested. And even if I'm not 100% sure of what I'm reading or listening to, I can confidently go before Yahuwah and say, explain this more to me and talk to me about this. And you're going to get it, because what you're finding is this is him hitting you with real things, okay, real issues, not just making a series to make a series or talking to talk, but to give you insight into, for example, how your marriages are meant to go. You know, Sholiak, I began to realize something. I know it's a little bit of a rabbit trail, but it's tied together. In that we don't have good enough example, we don't have very good examples and we let the world become our examples for some of the most horrible, some of the most horrible ways. And we've allowed sitcom marriages and TV families to
Yep.
be the example of what is a covenant marriage. And as
That's
I
right.
began to do some different work on writing and what have you, I did not realize how far people have gone from what is a covenant relationship,
Yeah.
that they don't recognize it. And now to the point where they're like, if they're friends with somebody for a couple of years, they consider that a lifetime.
Commitment is a dirty word. When I started in the ministry, people would say, I'm going to give monthly. Somebody else would come to me and say, no, I'm going to give weekly. Now you ask somebody to give monthly. Excuse me. Are you asking me for a commitment? That's the C word. That's the kingdom C. There's a worldly C word, and then there's a kingdom C word, which is commitment. How dare you, Peter Martin? Monthly? Monthly? Never mind the fact that I have to eat 3 times a day. Commitment's a dirty word. But before I forget, if I can just share something, going to the Chodesh, okay? Just if I may, just so I want to finish that and watch this. Am I on the screen? Let me see.
Yep,
No, now I am.
you got the scriptures on the screen.
Yeah. So watch this. So we were talking about the new heavens and the new earth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I do believe the temple was called the new heavens and the new earth. I believe the new heavens and the earth were removed in 70 AD to give way for a new Jerusalem and entry into. I believe all that, but not at the expense of the Torah being done away with, the charismata, the gifts of the Spirit, or the gift of the fivefold. All that stays until the final renewal. So the renewal of the heavens and the earth is a multiple event. It's not just, it's a recurring. Whenever the heavens and the earth need renewal, Yahuwah can do it 10 times, 20 times. So watch. This is probably the one spoken of in Revelation 21, probably. I will make before me your seed, your zera, that's the kadosh seed, and the new name, as you have mentioned previously, that he gives us will remain. So Yisrael with your new name as Yisrael and your personal name, and your seed, your zera, will remain. And now watch this. So this is the final Revelation 21 renewed heaven and earth, as opposed to previous renewed heavens and earths, such as the destruction of the temple. So I believe that's a recurring event. It shall come to pass that from one new month, now watch this, from one new month to the next. Okay, this coming Sunday, the 17th of August, is a new month. Now, when you guys come to the ARM meeting, not only you're coming to the ARM meeting, you're coming to a assembly.
Yeah.
Yes, you're coming to an assembly on the Chodesh. And it shall come to pass that from one Chodesh to another, and from one Shabbat to another. So you see how they're both important. If this one is important, then we cannot minimize this one. The Jews will sell. No, it doesn't say the Jews. The apostle. No, all believing flesh.
All flesh.
All those who
All
want to
flesh.
live. Watch this. All those whose name and seed remain forever. Look at this. All those whose name and seed
All.
live forever by my gift of grace, unmerited favor, by the blood of Golgotha, shall, nothing to pray about here, some things you don't pray about, shall come to worship before me. And what about the rest of the world that's not keeping Chodesh? They have their Chodesh. The worms will be eating them on Chodesh, and the worms will be eating them on Shabbat.
So you got to ask this question: why are you on the other side of the screen? Those of you that are out there, and that are even considering such things. You even think about it. Why? Why are you drawn to even conversation about it? Why are you just dismissing it? Why are you drawn? Because it's coming from deep within you. Deep calls onto deep. And so for those of you that found yourself drifting back, you're like, I'm very interested in this. I'm very intrigued by it. Why? Why are you intrigued? Whereas other people completely blow it off. Yeah. Why are you interested? There's a reason for that. Because as he calls us, this is one of the ways that we know that the calling is in fact happening, is he starts returning you So when we talk about returning to our folds, part of the returning to the folds is the keeping of his kadosh days. Regardless of whether you're part of this or that group or this, because everybody's still sorting that out. We know who we are, but you're still figuring it out. That's fine. But one thing you definitely know is keep the Shabbat. You knew this without our involvement, that we didn't have to be involved with that. You had it in your heart already. Now you're not sure how to do it and all that, but you knew, boy, we got to start. Where did that come from? You knew about it without us involved. Where did that come from? That's the spark. That's the genuine, authentic, you were chosen and selected from the foundation of the world spark that we're looking for, which is why we preach to all the creatures, like he told us, Matthew 28, preach to all of them. Why? Because you don't know which one's which, so just preach to all of them. And what's the
Right.
good news about that is the ones that respond, he spent almost his entire ministry pointing out fake human beings. You cannot unsee. Talk about things you can't unsee. He was basically saying robot, robot, robot. Oh, this one's real. How do you know? They love one another. They have genuine heart toward. The rest of them are simulators. They are only on the outward are they good, but inwardly they are dead men's bones. They have
Yep.
no compassion, no real concern, no real love, nothing. So when you see this, and he says, your zera and your name, what is your name? It is your purpose. It's why you are here. And it
Right.
certainly isn't to manipulate anybody. So go ahead.
No, no, but yeah, but look at. In other words, why do I need to stop working on the new month day, the Chodesh? There are 11 Chodasheem, and there's one Rosh Chodesh. That's another thing religion gets wrong. Okay, in religion, every new month is Rosh Chodesh, and I look carefully in the Hebrew. The new month is never called Rosh Chodesh. Let me say that again. In the Hebrew, I have looked this diligently. The new month is never called Rosh Chodesh. Aviv 1, the head of the year, Exodus 12, 1 through and 2, is the only Rosh Chodesh, which only happens once a year. But look at this. Why should I keep Chodesh and not go to work and lose income? Here it is. Because, like Peter just said, you have been chosen for your name, your family, and your house that trusts in the finished work of Golgotha and obeys his instructions. You have been ordained to remain
Yes,
forever.
forever.
So, in gratitude of that proclamation, you keep the Chodesh just like you keep the Shabbat. And here's what I would do if I, because you talk about stone altar and teshuvah. Here's what I would do. If I just came into this truth and I've been in Torah for 4 years, I would go 4 times 12, 48, and I would give Yahuwah an offering for each of those 48 chodashim to show real teshuvah. Go back, calculate what the offering would have been, 20 a month, 100 a month, every new month, and give it to Yahuwah. How
These
about
are the
that?
kinds of things, by the way, what he just suggested. So this is the kind of thing I don't usually talk about, but it's very, very powerful. Is somebody that does that. So let's say you get moved by the Ruach and you're suddenly sitting there and you're getting convicted. And he says, I want you to clean this mess up, which, by the way, the month of Elul, the 6th month, you should plan on the Ruach doing that. So those of you that are sensitive, you're going to have that. They're going to have that visit. You're going to have a visit. Okay, your books are going to get checked. Why is he doing it ahead? Why is he doing it on that month, not the month coming? Because the 7th month is coming. That's why. So prophetically, if you're sensitive, he'll visit you a month before to help you make that shuvah. Okay? So if you're sensitive, that's the key is, are you sensitive? He doesn't waste time with people that have no love. He doesn't waste time with people that have no true forever in them. Nope. You're going to walk right up to the wedding feast, not even be totally oblivious that you don't even have the right garment on. Totally oblivious. But the people that he tutored and he prepared and he walked with, they're coming in a whole different way. Why? They spent the whole month in Teshuvah. What does that mean? They checked their books. They went, oh man, actually, when I look, oh boy, I messed up here, I messed up there.
Well,
Clean it up before you get to the feast.
I'm talking about the 6th month coming up on Sunday. It's Yom
Yes,
Echad. I'll tell you, I'll tell you an example. Because if you don't have examples, like you said, marriage, etc., that's all part of guidance.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're not the example. Sometimes somebody from our flock is the example. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me tell you, there's a young man who's getting married. You know
Mhm.
who it is. I pretty good idea. And he said to me, "Listen, I got a lot of expenses: rent, moving, flying overseas. Right? Can I borrow the tithe?" So I said to him, "Of course you can, but remember, you got to pay back with 20% interest."
20%
So,
interest.
but what does that show you? It shows you a man who puts Yahuwah first. He says, and if I said no, he would have tithed like usual. I said, yes, you can borrow your tithe, but just make sure you pay it back with interest. You see how there are good people among us. There are people who will, and that's the, and we, like you said, we need examples. Which, by the way, brother Peter, is why the third week that you and me started talking, I said to you, I believe I don't know if you remember this, that you and Mindy should do a marriage show. Just talk
I
about
know,
how you solve arguments, how you solve
man.
disagreements. Be real. I said keep it real because you remember what I told you? We need examples. I need examples because my marriage isn't perfect. We all need to learn. If we could learn from one another's ministry, we could also learn from one another's home life, right? Yes? I
I
could
don't
learn
think
from your
people know
home
how to be
life.
married, man. I don't think they know how to be married, man.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm
I
like,
got
what?
but what I'm saying is, even though
You're right. Yes,
I've
I
been
agree with you.
married, I've been married for 36 years. Okay, in one situation, and about 13 in the other. That that I have a lot to learn, and I could learn from you. You could learn from. None of us have marriage down perfectly,
No,
just like none of us have Torah perfectly. So
right.
we could the learning from each other is not just Genesis to Deuteronomy, it's real living. So that's why when, and I always say this because you always say it also, when the Ruach leads, I would love for you guys not to pontificate because that's not your style anyway, but to have a model because there are very few models.
Wow.
There are very few
I did
models.
not realize, guys. I gotta say this, and I'm not putting ourselves forward. It was more like, are you kidding? Like that's it. There's nothing, and what you see modeled, what is demonstrated, is not successful. It's this. So, for example, we talked about this last Shabbat. Thanks for bringing this up, Sholiak, about how that people. I can't tell you how many Christianity teachings, which by the way, bring up Genesis 2 for me, would you? I can't tell you how many of those have been completely butchering this rib concept, right? Oh, she's right here. She's right here. No, the scripture tells you that she goes ahead of you, that she's like your average. When Mashiach in Luke 10 sends the 70 out ahead of him, you're seeing the perfect match, female to male, if I can use that as a good example, right there. He's coming to the cities, but he sends his bride ahead of time to announce his arrival, to make
That's
ready,
good.
to prepare.
That's good.
So she's ahead of him, going, he's coming, he's coming, he's coming. Oh, he's coming. Oh, he's coming, right? And so she's making preparation. This is the word you see in Hebrew when he talks about making a help meet for him.
Correct.
We
Correct.
we totally butchered this.
So,
And
but
then as a result, we got women out of place
but
who
let's
are
say,
not being, let me finish this, not
yeah,
being respected, not allowed to shine the way they were made to shine,
man,
like a diadem. Has anybody ever seen a diadem stuck in some bushel?
nished.
Diadem is, you talking about the opulence of all opulence. Who has a diadem? You don't even know what a diadem is. You're like, what is that? I gotta look that up.
Diaphragm. I got one. My diaphragm. You want my
Oh,
diaphragm?
diadem, diadem. You're like, what is that? You're a jewel in a crown.
The
Wow.
brightness of your coming, just like Mashiach is the brightness
Yahuwah's
of
coming.
Yahuwah's coming. She is the brightness. Before you tell me where you want me to turn in Genesis, let me say
2.
this. Well, how does a two by two analogy allegory fit with David, who had 8 wives? Let's say Yahuwah sent David out 2 by 2. Well, wait a second. Wait a second. Wait a second. It can't be 8 by 8 because he sent them out 2 by 2. Listen carefully. Any two become one flesh with a contract and a covenant and a ketubah. Any two become one flesh. Not any three, not any four. There are separate covenants with each kadosh couple. It's still 2 by 2. So if David had 8 wives and Yahusha sent him out to go to every village, he's still going out 2 by 2 because he has a covenant with each of those 8 wives. They're not. This is not polyamory, sweetheart. This
It's
is
not. It's
kadosh.
not.
Let me say it again.
Yeah,
This is
that's
not
right.
polyamory. This is kadosh, and we are recovering all the kadosh things of Yahuwah. Period.
That's right.
And it doesn't violate what you said, which was the 2 by 2 principle. Because a lot of people say, well, if David had 8 wives, how could Yahusha use him? How can Yahusha use him and send him out 2 by 2? Because Yahuwah doesn't see it that way.
Bring this
He,
up. Bring up.
every one of those relationships are a two become one flesh relationship. Period. Any
One.
two that are in Yahusha become one flesh.
So one of the problems that we've all learned, that is correct. We are meant for covenant. Everybody start saying this word. Keep talking about it. Keep meditate on it. Okay. We are covenant people. Okay.
Yep.
Just keep that mindset of covenant.
Yep.
Why? Because whatever's inside of covenant is okay. You're safe.
Correct.
You're okay. And you could do wild, crazy things. As long as you're inside covenant, you're good. All right.
Correct.
This is
Correct.
the grand container. All right. You could put the most pious activity. Hear me now, because this is going to blow some people's minds. Okay. Inside the container of covenant, wild partying. You could have Catholic reverential behavior. You could have the most pious looking. If it's outside of covenant, it's a waste of time.
Correct.
Covenant is the divining, the defining thing.
Correct.
So when he put Adam and Eve in the garden, he put them in covenant. I'm going to say it again. When he put them in the garden, he put them in covenant.
Correct.
He kept his part of the deal. It was up to them to keep their side of that.
Correct.
Right? When he says, it's not good for man to be alone, bring that up. I believe it's Genesis 2. I mean, I can have it on my screen too.
I'll get it for you.
Okay. For them, put it on there. I want to put it on for myself so I can see which verse I'm talking about. And as I was studying this, I'm going to be talking about this for a while. Guys, you want to tune in for these discussions, these next few Shabbats, because I'm going to be talking about this in preparation, I think, for Mindy and I spending some time online and chatting.
Oh, man.
So we're getting geared up for that. And I did not, and I don't put myself forth, and we don't put ourselves in as, oh, we're the example, look at us, that kind of thing. No, I think we're all learning, and as we do, we realize that he has to restore to us what the locusts have eaten. And they ate something very simple. One thing that he says to us is that if you read that the elder women would teach the younger. Now, what were they teaching them? Okay, I'm going to hit you with some good stuff here, guys, so hang in there. What were they teaching them? They were teaching them the secret of fire. That's what I will call it. Secret of fire. Okay, fire belongs in the fireplace. It's a great analogy. It does not belong out there in the world. And it says in Genesis 2:18, Yahuwah said, it is not good that man should be alone. Okay, it's not tov that Adam should be alone. I will make for him an helper as his counterpart, Azerka Nagdo. Azerka Nagdo. Now, I'm not the Hebrew scholar that my brother is, so I'll let him tell you what those words mean. But specifically, the invitation that you get as you dig is in advance, a splendor that goes in advance. Why is this important? Because if a woman sees the vision and purpose of the man and gets in front of that vision and purpose, as is her calling, as is her calling. Okay,
Man. Mm-hmm.
that man's success quotient goes up by orders of magnitude so much higher you can't possibly fathom it.
Correct.
Let's say this again. Man without a woman, oh boy, don't know if you're going to get anything done. Give him a woman who catches the vision of what his job actually is. Now that man doesn't even, it's almost like he doesn't have a choice because his wife is making it happen. Okay? Because she's grabbed her role. Now, I want you to stop and consider. We're done with the scripture part. You can look up that word. I'd like you to expand on it. So I'm gonna swing it back to you here in a second. So get ready for what that word means. Okay, help meet for him. David had 10 concubines. That's gonna blow your brains. Okay, so let me help you out with that. 10 virgin concubines. Right, so what I call a fire engine. And a lot of people right away, the first thought that comes to their mind is sexuality, right? They're thinking depravity, they're thinking all these things. It's because you don't have a Hebrew brain and because you don't understand the kingdom or nor the patriarchs nor the power. Okay. Number one, they were saving people from sex slavery. So just understand that. A lot of times when they were doing marriages, a lot of times it was saving people from what they would have otherwise had a very terrible fate. Okay. So it was ceremonial many, many times. It was not like, oh, we're going to have this, jamboree. But anyway, the 10 concubines, very powerful. This was what I believe taught Solomon what he learned, is that they were covenant concubines. That meant their entire life they were dedicated to one man.
Come on.
One man.
Come on.
Okay?
Not a
What,
whore. Not a whore.
absolutely not. In fact, they were treated with high respect. Now,
Correct.
here's the thing.
Yep.
You are being doted on as king by women who love you, who use every bit of their gift set, every bit of their intuition, every bit of their understanding of the world around you to advise you, to counsel you, to warn you of bad guys, to
Yep.
warn you of people that are undermining you, to warn you of people that are talking smack about you behind your back.
Yep.
Okay? Think about what David had there. All right? He had a fire engine. And a lot of people dismiss it and go, oh my goodness, this is horrible, it was detestable. Really? When did Yahuwah rebuke him for that? Right? Show me the verse. Go ahead. You can't. You want to know why? Because he didn't. And they understood things about the ancient power that was given in woman, which is what created this entire thing. You got angels falling, you got all kinds of things going on. Why? Woman disturbed it all. Okay? Understand this is critical because everybody just racing through eschatology and doesn't capture this disturbance that occurred that was so disturbing. I said it was so disturbing that we're still recovering from this disturbance, still don't know quite how to put it back together. Got people afraid to put on a pair of earrings because we started using we beat them up on adornments. They don't even understand what that meant, how to be a meek and quiet spirit. None of that. They don't have any of it down. They're scared of everything.
That's right.
Because they got either they got beat by the Catholics or they got beat by the evangelical nonsense.
That's right.
Or they got beat by the Jews. Either way, they don't know what a royal diadem is. They don't know that the first time the word beauty is restored to us in the Torah is when he is bringing garments back on the priests.
Yeah.
What for? Kadosh.
Yeah.
You want beauty? Kadosh. You want opulence? Kadosh.
Yeah.
You want spectacular? Kadosh. You want clean food? Kadosh. You want safety from all your enemies? Kadosh. Your answer to everything is Kadosh.
Yeah.
And that to me is the message that we've missed, especially marriage. Because marriage is the Kadosh
let me
the
go ahead.
center for anything he gives you gift-wise to incubate and from the spirit to the natural. Go ahead.
Let me hit on something here. There are a lot of women in the body. I'm not a woman, so but I speak for Yahuwah, not for women and not for men. So y'all got that? I speak for Yahuwah. There's a lot of women in the body, 43 years of experience, that do not know and can never be a wife. And here's why. Not because they're ugly, not because they're ugly, because their love tank is empty. They feel that the pastor or the leader or their husband or their uncle has love for everybody except them. Their love tank is empty. And the reason that's a failing strategy for marriage or for life is because you get your added girls and your acceptance from the father who makes you prepared to be a good woman or a good wife. You cannot enter marriage with an empty love tank. You have to keep refilling your love tank from Yahuwah. So whether your husband acknowledges your greatness or ignores your greatness is irrelevant. Your love, your intimacy, your spiritual orgasm is coming from the Father of lights. I know that's a little crude, but I wanted you to get my point.
I
So
like that.
I
Say
deal with
that
women.
again.
I deal with women all the time. Their love tank is empty, and that's why they say I'm broken. Yeah, you know why you're broken? Because you're waiting for Shaliach to love you. You're waiting for Peter Martinez to love you the way he loves his wife. Guess what? That ain't happening. That ain't happening. He loves his wife to a higher degree, which means you've got to get your love tank filled from where? From the King of Kings, and then you'll be eligible for marriage.
That's a great.
Hello, ladies. How you like me now? I see. I stole
Wow,
that. I
great
got that from
insight.
you.
Wow,
Yes.
that's a good word. Because if you are not a cistern from which a man can drink, but are instead hoping he pours into you, you've got it completely backward. Who was the last one Eve talked to? Yahuwah. While Adam was asleep. Yahuwah. How long was Adam asleep? I don't know. But what was she doing? Hanging out with Yahuwah. How long? While he was sleeping. I said while he was sleeping. So when I find my wife up praying before I'm awake, I don't find anything odd about that. I don't find it odd that she has her private
Blessing.
time with Yahuwah because that's how she was formed
Yeah.
when I was still asleep.
So she's ready to be your cheerleader.
So when I wake up,
When you wake
she's
up,
like, "You have 15 minutes before Sholiak is going to be looking for you."
and there are some women who like, well, you want me to, what is this biblical marriage stuff? You want me to be a cheerleader? Yes, sweetheart. Take out the pom poms, take
Right,
out the black and white shoes that you used to wear in the 1950s. Your husband needs a cheerleader because the gates,
right.
if he's leading a kadosh home, which is a ministry, the gates of hell are coming against him. And everybody's telling him he can't do it. He won't do it. He needs you to be his cheerleader, not fake cheerleader, but
Oh man,
just a team, someone on his team that he can count on.
I got to say this, but you got to give me a chance to say this.
Yeah, yeah,
So
go
you
ahead.
guys have been saying this thing on the news lately with this Coldplay concert where this guy, the CEO from Astronomer, some of you have heard about this, right? And he
Mm-hmm.
got caught out there with somebody else's wife, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
One of the things that they tricked everybody into with this nonsense was taking women out of the home, putting them into the workplace, which is not in of itself necessarily a bad thing because there's Proverbs 31. So we see that there's value in that. However, it's always within a certain context. In other words, the Hebrew mind is you're a family, you work as a family, right? Whereas the American mind or the Western, the man doesn't even know where his wife is all day, right? So he's sending her off, right? Every morning, kissing her goodbye, and she's really going off to be another man's wife. That's really what he's sending her off to do
Very true. Very true.
all
Very
day.
true.
So
All day.
back in the 70s where I grew up, and Sholiak's older than me, so he knows for real. There was every man had their fancy secretary. Secretarial pools were the common thing. It was very common if you were not as a woman going off to some kind of professional job, you were going to go to a secretarial job or some type of clerical job, and they wanted as pretty as you're a stewardess, Playboy models, secretaries. All had to be good looking. All had to be pretty. If you wanted a job like that, you had to be a good looking girl. If you were not so good looking, you had other jobs. But the pretty girls got the jobs as secretaries and what have you. Why? Why? For fire. Same exact reason, guys. The exact same reason why David had 10 concubines, none of which you would have passed on. They all were drop dead gorgeous. Every single one of them drop dead gorgeous. What was Sarah? Let me ask you, how gorgeous do you got to be at 75 that somebody grabs you up at 75 years old? You're still that gorgeous? You're still that fine? Man, and her children must have been fine. The babies they made, my goodness, Jacob. I mean, when Rebecca meets Isaac, she don't even come. She don't say 2 words. She's like, I'll take him. He's fine. That man is fine. Look at him. He's Sarah's son. That's Sarah's boy. That's Sarah's boy right there. That boy is fine. So fine. Kings want to grab me so fine. Look at him. Okay. Right? I mean, you don't understand these things. You don't put them into context. What is it going on here? And one of the things that I believe Yahuwah is doing is restoring our understanding of that wonderful moment, by the way, the moments of attraction, the moments of connection, when you're like, wow, could you possibly? And then that person's like, I'm here for your vision. I'm here for your mission. I was getting ready to come online, and I get on Facebook. I haven't been on Facebook much, so those of you that are on Facebook, hi, how you doing? I haven't been on there. Sorry. And I saw those reminder pics, one of those that they say, 12 years ago or whatever, right? And it was a picture of Mindy. Beautiful, gorgeous picture of Mindy. And I remembered it. We went to lunch and I snapped the photo. She was just looking great that day. And I'm thinking, man, I get to eat with this woman every day. And this woman, I don't know what she drank. What I tell her, I said, I don't know what you drink every day that you wake up and you're still here, but I hope you don't run out. That's all I'm asking. Whatever it is you're drinking, I hope you don't run out of that good juice, that good stuff, right? And everyone loves her. Why? Because she's happy. It doesn't mean that life is perfect. Doesn't mean that, and men hit on your wife. By the way, men hitting on your wife says something's good going on there.
That's true.
They don't hit on these, resting, what faces. They don't hit on those. They hit on the ones that still got a lot of love in that tank.
Yeah, but when I
love in that tank.
When I counsel new couples and new couples, that's right. You're right. But come together. Here's what I say, and you were hinting at this, or not hinting. You were sharing about covenant. The thing is, there's a dirty word that I don't ever want to hear from your lips. I'm not going to marry you unless you covenant with me. Forget about Yahuwah. Yahuwah is Yahuwah. If you want me to do your marriage and you want me to do your ceremony, you need to covenant with me. And I don't ever want to hear, you got to, as Yahuwah lives, the D word never comes out of your mouth. The divorce. That's how you begin a marriage. It's not an option. Unless, there are unlesses. But the mindset has to be, for us, when I married Rivka, listen to me, we had some rough years the first 4 years. We had some rough years. But we said, do you remember when we took the divorce word out of our vocabulary? We literally took it out of our vocabulary. And that will serve you well, people. Now, don't tell me she hits on you or he beats you up. Obviously, you leave. We're talking about normal people who don't use each other as a punching bag. Okay?
Right.
If you're being beat up, get the hell out of there and find shelter. Okay, but you don't have to stay. But my point is, if all things being equal, I will not marry you unless you covenant before Yahuwah and the altar that word will never come up, even when you're angry. Because let's be honest, when people fight, I'm leaving. Okay, where are you going? I don't know, but I'm leaving. Okay,
right.
So take that D word out of your, and when you approach it with that mindset, think Yahweh will honor that mindset. Is what I'm saying.
That's right. And see, a covenant mindset, I'm not going anywhere mentality is going to dig in deeper, differently than the over the shoulder boulder, where they basically walk off on you and throw you a shoulder boulder. Okay. That's not covenant. Those are the people that are most destructive people you've ever met in your life. The people that over the shoulder threw you a boulder and kept walking. And they, I think you need to do this. And then they walk off on you. That's not covenant. And you should throw that advice away, by the way. Even if it's true, throw it away anyway. You never want to build on something like that got thrown at you.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Let somebody else come and confirm it. You can build on that, but don't build on that guy. And why? Because you have to remember that foundation is everything. Foundation is everything. The story you get to tell. Some people got to tell a story that they met in a bar. Some people got to tell the story that they met some other man's wife. That's a terrible story, and it's going to war with your soul the whole time. Okay. Instead, if the story is Yahuwah brought us together. Yahuwah took me and he put me over here, and then Yahuwah put her over there, and the next thing you know, he brought us together. It's a great story. That informs on the way that you walk together. So foundation has a lot to do with it. How it formed, what put it together, what put the relationship together. And compromising there, thinking that you can clean it up later, is probably responsible for more absolute horrible marriage and situations, men and women both, who thought they could do a fixer-upper. Okay?
Right.
Unequal yoking is temporal and eternal. Listen
Yeah. But
carefully.
mhm.
Unequal yoking is a temporal person together with an eternal person. That is square scripture. It's right
Right.
there in Corinthians. He makes it very clear that a
Right.
temporal person and an eternal person are unequally yoked. Okay? So
Correct.
that is the key. It is not anything else. It is about eternally thinking versus temporal thinking. They are
Correct.
not compatible.
But that's why the commitment is the key, because as we age,
Yes.
okay, and as we age, what's going to last is not how many times a week you make love. What's going to last is common vision, common purpose,
Come on.
and friendship. If you When you're in your 70s and you're still in love, whether you're making love 5 times a week or not, or 3 times a week, that you have a friendship. You're building a lifelong friendship. And one of the byproducts is the physical, but that's part of the relationship. You'll find out when you're in your 70s if you really had a marriage, because will that once the sex is over, will you both leave, or will you both hang in there and continue to be best friends? See,
Great point.
in the end, friendship. Same with Yahuwah. In the end, it's not about the second coming, the fifth coming, tongues, prophecy. Is he a friend that sticks closer than a brother, or is he not? In the end, same with marriage. You're gonna all wind up when you're in your 90s. You're gonna wind up as friends, not so much as lovers. I got bad news for you. Okay, all right.
Here's the thing, guys. We're going to give you this as we're closing up today. A lot of people looking for a love that'll sustain their commitments. They really are. They're hoping they find something so extraordinary in the world that it will sustain them, right? But I'm telling you, it doesn't work that way. It's the other way around. It is the commitment that sustains the love, not the love that sustains the commitment.
That's
Um,
true.
so when you have a commitment that you've made, you've done something called volition. Volition is the most powerful element of memory. It happens to be something that I had to stop, Sholiak, and include in some things I'm working on. Because as I discovered, contextual memory, just remembering things in a linear fashion, is not good enough. We all have a thing we do when we get in trouble. Whenever something is difficult, we have a thing we do. Here's the thing we do. We ask inside, when did I commit to this? When did I agree to this?
Yeah.
Somebody asks you to do something the day before, you're like, yeah, I'll take care of it tomorrow. Oh, okay, tomorrow, you're going to take care of it. Yeah, I'll take care of your oil change or something for your wife. Let's say it's something like that. And I'll take care of it for you, hon. And the next day, now it's 92 degrees. When you said it, it was a cool evening and you were
Mhm.
feeling pretty good. But now it's 92 degrees. Okay? And your wife is going to remind you. And if you're married to someone like Rivka or like Mindy, you're not going to get away with it. Okay? Now she'll be nice about it, but she's going to remind you that you said you were going to do this, and it was not qualified. Like it has to be nice out, or has to be, no, it was you're going to do it. So what's now going on? Something called volition memory is kicking in, and you're keeping your word. You're keeping your word, right? Who helps that part of you, which is a big part of your character? Your wife. Your wife. You know the thing you call the nag? The thing you guys thought was a problem, the things you're throwing off, like, talks and all this, she's there to help you. Help you what? Keep your commitments. Be a
Yeah.
man of your word. The scripture says that you are supposed to give honor to the wife. How do you do that? By being an honorable man.
Man, yes. That's if you want your marriage to change, it starts with you.
Yeah.
We can
Yeah,
listen.
man that you looked at and said, I'm proud of you.
One thing that's saved. We're talking about salvation and kingdom things. Okay, whatever the world does, that's their business. That's not our business.
That's right.
Is if you want a saved people who love Yahusha and who are going to live forever. If you want your marriage to change, stop trying to change your husband. Stop trying to change your wife. You begin to change. That will either repel them away or attract them. You change. Don't stop trying to change others. One of the death knells from biblical marriage is pressure, manipulation to change the other person instead of working
Doesn't
out.
work.
Instead of you determining to change, you're not going to lose your temper as much. You're going to learn to control your anger. You're going to learn to be a little bit more tender and considerate with your words. When you change, she might change. When
My
you
wife was
change,
pre-built for success.
he might change. But if you think, and I'm talking to everybody, men and women, I've been a marriage counselor for 4 decades. If you and received counseling, if you think you're going to change your spouse, you are on drugs, child.
No, you're
You
not
are
going to
on
change
drugs.
anybody.
Oh, you ain't changing nobody except putting yourself on the altar, grabbing the horns of the altar and saying, Yahuwah,
Man, you
make
can't even
me
sustain your own
make
kids.
me the husband. Listen, make me the husband worth following.
Come on, man. Come on, man. What did you just say? What did he just say? Wow. Say that again. Make me the husband worth following. Okay. How about what's the vision? What do you mean? What's the vision? I was just trying to get a wife. Oh, so getting me was your only goal. Think of it from a wife's perspective. I'm a wife and you got me. Okay, I'm here. You finally got me. You talked me into it. I'm here. What's the plan? Oh, babe, you were the plan. I just wanted you. What? That's going to fizzle. It's going to die. Okay. First of all, why don't you just call her Ashereth? And you can just be Baal. Because you're worshiping the woman. Ooh, kaboom. Okay. So no, she's never your goal. She's not your goal. She's going to help you walk. She's not the person that you are supposed to make the end all. She's the person that's walking with you to the end all. And then this one little shift turns her from an object to royalty. From illicit, like porn, yeah, just because you got married doesn't mean she isn't still your porn star, or she's with you in covenant. Which do you think Yahuwah meant?
That's right. That's so true.
See, woman comes in and she brings fire. She brings passion. She brings ability. And yeah, a little cuckoo, a little bit of crazy. You need a little crazy in your life, honey. You know why? Because sometimes you're just a little too sedentary, sitting still. You need wildfire. You need a fire that says, let's go. And you go, okay, you know what? You're right, babe. We need to go. Okay. And then she just lost it. She couldn't handle it right then. Right. And next thing you know, you're moving. Why? Well, Yahuwah sent her to get you moving because you wasn't moving. I said, Yahuwah sent her to get you moving.
Yeah. And
don't you lie and tell me he didn't, because he did. And all the women that have come into our lives, whether they were wives or just our sisters, they affect us. Rivka, from a distance, Mindy will tell you. How many times do I say her name? I say her name a lot, if you notice. Rivka affects me from a distance. Why? First of all, I have respect for you. And so I respect the house. I respect my elders. And I can weigh people from a long way. I weigh them. Okay? I weigh them. And she carries weight.
True.
Okay? That's a weighty woman. You better respect that person.
Mm-hmm.
So you leave. I learned that as a child. There were certain people that were frivolous, and other people you learned, don't mess with these people.
Right, but as you're right, but let me put my postscript in there. As a strong man, I had to tell her
You're
there will
different. You're her husband.
there will be times you're going to have to stand down and you don't intimidate me. It works both ways.
Yeah,
It
but
works both
but
ways.
but you could tell her effect on your life. You could tell that
Yeah,
there you could
yeah.
see the good that came
She's a
from your
visionary. She's a team player and
right.
supportive.
And
And
and I
a lot of the kadosh women have careers, or they can go back to college. A lot of women love to go back to college, further education, and they sacrifice those things
that's right.
to be part of their husband's calling. And what you said before, and I'm going to reiterate: there's no such thing as a husband being called to pastor or to be an evangelist, and the wife doesn't share that calling. If that calling is not a shared calling, one of the two are walking in disobedience. There is no such thing. Let me slow down when I say this. There is no such thing as Yahuwah calling a husband into the ministry, especially the fivefold, and leaving the wife behind. Someone is disobeying. Facile. Someone is disobeying. And if it's your wife who's disobeying, keep walking with Yahuwah
He'll deal with
and
it.
say I would say to her, listen, you're not walking with me the way you should. How do I need to change to make you walk with my Elohayim? What do I need to do to change for you to see some fruit that you're not seeing now? And she'll come. Most times, she will respond to that. Most times,
Listen, when you have an honest partner, somebody that's in it with you for the whole distance, number one. So what's the value of somebody that's in it for the whole thing? In other words, the advice they're giving you, they're going to live in. They're not giving you advice and leaving. They're giving you advice and they're going to live there in the advice that they're going to give you. That's a different quality of advice, okay? So number one, they're actually giving you advice. They're going to have to live with it. So that's not the same. And also, you have to understand that, when he built us to appreciate this, what's he teaching us how to do? How to be cooperative. It's very easy to rule when all you do is dictate. Let me say that again. For all of those that think they can grab the scripture, even the thick Racine, and beat people with it. No, no, no. Listen carefully. Okay? You
not to
cannot,
me.
you cannot gain, you don't get submission by this method. And so instead, what you end up with is a fearful people,
Resentment. Yeah,
resentful people.
yeah.
So, but if on the other hand, you're inspiring, you're encouraging, and facilitating the gift expression, and somebody says, "Wow, Adam, he didn't keep his wife under better control." Adam needed to learn to discern what voice he was listening to, because when his wife's voice was contaminated by the doctrine of the enemy, he needed to correct his wife.
Right,
This is part of being a husband.
right,
Now, my
right,
wife, she
right.
makes mistakes, very rarely, but she does. And when she does, I have to chastise her. We call it intense fellowship. Bet you guys wouldn't like me in that moment, though.
That's right.
I bet you if you were videotaping me in that moment, you wouldn't like me because I'm very direct. I
You
am
have to.
blunt,
Right.
okay? Because I don't want you to be thinking that something tasted good that's terrible. So I'll
Right.
tell you straight up, I'll be the one friend in your life that'll say,
Tell the
okay, everybody
truth in
else,
love. Yeah.
yeah, everybody else telling you this is great. Okay, babe, this is not a
Tell,
keeper.
tell
They're
the
being,
truth in love. Yeah.
yep, we're the real friends. We're real friends. She knows she can count on me. And let me tell you another thing, okay? My wife will never wonder if somebody will meet her in the rain because she knows I would show up for that.
And that's the kind of person that a woman will submit to,
That's right.
with
I would.
a track record of being there and walking with her and holding her hand. But you remember you asked me to explain Ezer Kenegdo.
Yes.
And that there's two ways to look at it. There's the right way and then there's the right way. So Ezer Kenegdo, literally neged means against you. The Antichrist is called um, uh, uh, neged. Mashiach. I'm sorry. Yeah, Mashiach neged. So the Antichrist in Hebrew is Mashiach neged, meaning the Messiah against or in place of. So neged can be she is against you. I've made you an Ezer Kenegdo. Ezra, helper, but she helps by challenging you, iron sharpening iron. That's one interpretation. The other interpretation is no, she's a balance. Negative, in other words, if this is positive, you need a negative, right? Opposites attract. So negative is opposite. So it depends how you want to look at it. Or both can be true.
Mm.
Either she challenges you by telling you stuff that the general public is not going to tell you to make you a better leader and a better man, right? Or it could be she's there to counter you. You're a little rough with the people. She teaches you how to be a little more patient. You're a little rough with the children. She shows you when to back off. So you're the positive, she's the negative. You're the negative, she's the positive. So both ways are legitimate. To look at it either way are legitimate. It's
She
legitimate
was
interpretation.
positive in both of those. I was negative in both of those. I think you flipped it. I didn't ever end up on the positive. What happened there?
I don't know.
That was heads I win and tails you lose. I don't know what's going on.
I'm not that eloquent to parse my words to the umpteenth degree. Okay, I'm focusing on putting on sentences when I have 100 people watching me. All right,
Oh, you're so
I'm not
beautiful.
that eloquent. All right,
You're beautiful.
I'm not that
No,
eloquent.
but seriously, you're absolutely right. The reality is that she has to be.
Peter, where'd you go? Don't leave me now. Oh, Gewalt. Apostle Peter has left the scene. See that? I wasn't eloquent enough for him. See that? He wanted me to. It's my fault. All right. So what do you want me to do? It's my fault. I should have been more eloquent in the Genesis 2 explanation. Now, the funny thing is we have 3 minutes left, right? So you guys want him to come back? Yes or no? I'm gonna take a quick poll. Hey, brother, we only have 2 minutes left, so I took a quick poll and I said, do you want him to
That's
come
it.
back? No, I said, do you want him to come back or do you want me to sign off? And I didn't give anybody a chance to vote. And before they voted, boom, you
Oh,
were back.
man,
So
I should have
close
given
it
that a
out.
move.
Close it out, my brother. You close it out.
Next week, we've got another gathering of the Alliance of Remnant Ministries. We
Yeah.
certainly would love to encourage you to join us for that. And we certainly encourage you to be a part of one another's lives. It's not about joining organizations and joining the groups and this and that. It's about joining family and being part of each other's lives. So let me encourage you, get in each other's lives.
And we'll be celebrating Chodesh together.
That's right. Celebrating Hodesh, you get 2 for 1. Look at that.
And
What a
that's
wonderful
something we can
combo.
talk about in the future. Like
Hmm.
maybe we'll talk about
Maybe
it.
we just do it on Hodesh.
And you know what's nice about that? There's only 3 days in the week that Chodesh can fall on the Zadokai calendar: Sunday, Friday, or Wednesday. Sunday, Friday, or Wednesday. There's only 3 days that Chodesh can fall on.
This guy spent too much time in that timepiece. Look at it. He's got it all down. Oh, my goodness.
That's because of the background. I spend my life in the background.
That's
You see
beautiful.
that there's the Pleiades, there's Big Dipper, there's
Listen,
Aries.
everyone, I want to just encourage you again. I do this weekly, but I really strongly encourage you to pick up a copy of your Restine.
Man,
Make sure that you encourage other people to get into the Word. It does the work for you. They start getting into it, and it starts making it so much easier to have a conversation. So keep encouraging them. Just say, you know what? I don't want to tell you anything. I don't want to preach to you. You know enough. You don't know. You know everything. Okay. You know what I would recommend though? You get this Bible.
yep.
And they
Peter,
go, oh
can I?
yeah, I'm gonna go look at that Bible. I'm gonna go, and then they get it. And next thing you know, conversation wise, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, they're, I want to talk to you about this. Oh, now you want to talk to me? Why?
Can
Because
I?
you're looking at this
Can
Bible.
I show you what makes the Restoration Scriptures head and tails about? I don't have to sell you. Let me
Mhm.
just show you something. I know we're out of time, but let's let's
Take it. Take
let's
it. We still got a minute. Go ahead, use it.
yeah let's. I just want to show you what makes it different, and I'm going to put it up on the screen. So not only we, of course, I'm going to do this in front of you so you can see. Not only we have the app now, you could find things instantly.
Yeah,
Okay,
fabulous.
watch this. Watch this. So not only you could find things, I made the change this morning. Watch this. In my study of the eschaton, I came across this. Chazon 21:4. Now we all know this. So just to show you how up to date the RSTNE is. The Sefer full of Talmudic, new moons, all kind of stuff. You guys are crazy. to compare what we have here to these other things with sprinkled with leaven, new moons, Talmud, rabbis. Okay, check this
Yeah.
out. Here's a change I made, the update based on the Greek. Let me see. Why am I not? Oh, I'm in the wrong screen. Give me a second. Sorry. Give me a second. My apologies. You see Revelation 12:4 now? You
Yes.
should. Okay. Watch this. Yahuwah will wipe away tears from their eyes, and shall be no more
Death.
the death. Definite article. Now, if you look in the Greek, most translations say death, but here it doesn't say death. It says the death. Now, I made this change this morning. How many of your scriptures that are sitting on your coffee table will not line up with this? It's a definite article. The death that's being reversed in eternity and the New Jerusalem is the spiritual death that caused death to come upon all men. All men die physically, that's true. But the definite article here specifies the spiritual death has been removed because all the sorrow and the crying do not apply to the new life. So it's the death. Now, when did we make this fix? This morning. Okay. You think you need the RSTNA? I think so.
It goes to show you that if you concern yourself with the quality of the word and you dig and the Ruach continues to refine, what are we losing? What does he say in Ephesians 4? We're going to have spots and wrinkles removed, right? Spots and wrinkles. This is part of that process of spots and wrinkles. So thank you, all of you who have joined us for these conversations. Yes. You have made it so much more enriching, and we love your comments. Yes. We're so thankful for your participation.
Yes. Shalom, everybody. See you on Sunday. Don't miss it. Tell the husband and the wife you're going to be there. Shalom, shalom.